All right, we're live. Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my college football top 25 here for week 11. Sorry it's not coming down until now, but I am going to get it out before the committee goes ahead and gets theirs out. So I'm going to go 25 through 1 here. Just talk a little bit about each team and basically tell you the teams that I kicked out. I kicked out 4 teams this week for one reason or the other. So let's get into it. Number 25 is going to be NC State. They're continuing to win. They are continuing to win NC State. I forget. I believe they beat. Let me see who they beat real quick. But they're continuing to win. It's a nice little season they're having there at NC State. I know kind of the running joke on this channel is don't believe in Dave Doran. I still don't believe in Dave Doran. I still don't. But I do think let me see here. Let me get the and again, Maryland was winning here in the first college basketball game of the season here. Um, Let me see who NC State beat here.
First and goal.
They went ahead and beat Florida State. So good win is on the road, especially. Um, it's a good win for them. They're continuing to win, as I said, 7-2 in the ACC. That Wake Forest game is going to be huge. That's this week, actually. So big game in the ACC this week with Wake Forest and NC State. Number 24 is Iowa State. Dominant win over Texas. I know it was mostly a second half showing, but Iowa State, as I said, they'll continue to win big games as well. I know they have Oklahoma coming up. I don't know who they have this week. I can tell you who they have this week. But Iowa State, they have Texas Tech this week on the road. Continuing to win, 6-3 team there in the Big 12. They were a preseason top 25 team in most top 10s. Bit of a disappointing season, but they're continuing to win. Number 24 Iowa State, number 23 Pitt, back in it, 54-29 over Duke. Big game against North Carolina at home this Thursday night. That's gonna be huge for them against North Carolina team that just come off being number 9 Wake Forest, or rather number 11 Wake Forest in the McD Sports 4 poll. You look at Pitt. To me, they're a top 25 team. They're probably the favorites coming out of the Coastal. Number 23 Pitt, number 22 Purdue. Purdue, another big win. You look at the Iowa win. Iowa's in my top 25. You look at the Michigan State win. They're in my top 25. They have 2 big top 25 wins. Purdue. We'll see what happens throughout the season here. They still have Indiana. I forget who else they have, but they have Ohio State this week, so that's a big game against Ohio State. So we'll see what happens. But number 22 Purdue, number 21 Baylor. Baylor, disappointing loss against TCU. They dropped from 16 to 21. Big game against Oklahoma this week. That's probably, possibly a Big 12 championship preview. So that's big noon kickoff game. Can't wait for that. Number 21 from Baylor. Number 20 San Diego State. San Diego State continuing to get the job done, winning games. I know they lost. They have a loss on the schedule, but they're continuing to win games. San Diego State. They look like the best team in the Mountain West to beat Hawaii on the road, 17-10. Not a bad Hawaii team, but big win for them. San Diego State, number 20. They moved up in my poll from number 23 last week. Number 19 is Iowa. You look at Iowa. They actually moved down one spot. They beat Northwestern 17-12. Guys, Iowa just does not have offense. Defensively, they're very good, though. They'll keep them in the top 25. I believe they have a big matchup against a Minnesota team, which some people think should be in this top 25. They're going to be dropped out of a bunch of top 25 that to lose to Illinois this past weekend. But they just have 2 boneheaded losses, Minnesota. But that's a borderline top 25 matchup. Number 19 Iowa and number 18 Auburn. I dropped them from 14 to 18. They had opportunities this game. I thought the defense played very well against Texas A&M. As I said, they definitely had some opportunities. But the offense, as I said, Bo Nix, whenever people start talking well about Bo Nix, It went south pretty quickly. Number 18, Auburn. Number 17, Houston. They went ahead and beat South Florida 54-42. I don't like them giving up 42, but at the same time, they look like the second best team in the American, especially with SMU. They lost. I forget who SMU lost to, but here I'll tell you who SMU lost to here. Well, SMU went ahead and lost to Memphis. So, but as I said, Houston, they look like the second best team in the American. They beat and was yeah, actually it was South Florida. I thought it was Tulane for a second. They beat South Florida 54-42 there. Number 16 is BYU. BYU is, and I know they're a horrible Idaho State team, but 8-2. Gotta respect it. Dominant win. I mean, you're going to beat who's on your schedule. Number 16, BYU. Number 15, Wake Forest. I dropped them from 11 to 15. Listen, I know they're underdogs going into that game. I said they will not be perfect in this November. Wake Forest, and I did thought they will win this game though. I didn't do a pick video last week. That's my fault. I'm gonna try get one out Thursday or Friday. But no guarantee on that. Wake Forest, number 15, still controls their own destiny, though. They still control their own destiny. They, as I said, big game against NC State. They could find a way to win that game. As long as they can beat Clemson, they'll probably in the driver's seat to get to the ACC championship game. Number 14, Wisconsin. Guys, Wisconsin's back. They are a top 15 team, in my opinion. Just absolutely dominating against Rutgers 52-3. And people were saying Rutgers was a good team. Yeah, Wisconsin absolutely just destroyed Rutgers. As I said, Wisconsin is a top 15 team, in my opinion. They're number 14 in the McD Sports 4 pool. They moved up from 17 to 14. Number 13, Ole Miss. They moved up 2 spots. They beat Liberty. They kind of let Liberty go ahead and creep back into that game. And Liberty's not a bad team. But they kind of let them creep back in that game. 27-14 was the final. It was 27-0. I did move them up 2 spots, but I do think Ole Miss is a top 15 team. They do have that bad loss against Bama, and the reason why it's a bad loss is because it's by 3 touchdowns. They lost to Auburn. That's a whatever thing to me. It was a pick'em game in my opinion, and the home team won. But Ole Miss, possibly New Year's Six bowl bid for Ole Miss, number 13 Ole Miss. They have a big game against Texas A&M this upcoming weekend. Number 12 UTSA blowing out Utep. This was a game that was circled on a lot of people's big boards on games to pick. UTSA took care of business. I believe the score is 44-16 or 44-23 rather. Yeah, 44-23. UTSA, they're 9-0. Who they play this upcoming week? UTSA, just out of curiosity. They play Southern Miss, a horrible Southern Miss team. I expect them to win that game. There, UTSA will. They look to be going on 10-0. They look like the best team in the but not the best team in the Conference USA by far, second best team in the group of 5. Number 11 is Oklahoma State. They're continuing to find ways to win. I only moved them up 1 spot. Could have moved them up more. I'll admit that. But big win against West Virginia on the road. They're 24-3. I think they still have Oklahoma on the schedule. We'll see how that goes. They played Iowa State. I still think they got a bad spot against Iowa State. They beat Baylor, so if you're Oklahoma State, you might be the second best team in the Big 12. According to my rankings, you're number 11 Oklahoma State. Now the top 10. Number 10, Notre Dame. I did move Notre Dame down 1 spot. I know they blew out Navy 34-6. And trust me, North Carolina being Wake Forest kind of helps their resume a little bit, in my opinion. But does anybody really think Wake Forest is a top 10 team? I mean, I had them number 11 last week. You look at Notre Dame. Big game on the road against Virginia. Possible upset alert there. I think they should be on upset alert. I'm seriously considering picking Virginia to win that game outright. But you look at Notre Dame, as I said, I think they're right around a top 10 team. I'm not really sold on them. Number 10, Notre Dame. Number 9, Michigan State. Now, you might be like, oh, why is Michigan State? They're lower on the way to number 3 to number 9. Calm down. They're number 6 last week in the McD Sports 4 pool. I wasn't really buying into it. I did thought they would be. If we did the pick view, I would have picked them to win and cover against Purdue, though. I would have. Um, Number 9, Michigan State. They have Maryland this week. I am a Maryland Terps fan. I expect Maryland to lose that game. And by the way, just a quick side note: a lot of the Big Ten games, like that Iowa Minnesota game, the Wisconsin, and if there's a game in Wisconsin, if there's any games in Illinois, any games in Indiana, Michigan. Here, I'll get the Big Ten schedule slate up here, and I'll tell you which games I'm exactly talking about. So the Northwestern Wisconsin game, the Rutgers Indiana game, even though it looks like it's not going to affect that, the Minnesota Iowa game, and the Maryland Michigan State game, possible snow games. So that's going to be interesting to see there. Just a little side note there. Number 8, Oklahoma. Oklahoma fails the eye test so much, in my opinion. It's not funny anymore to make fun of Oklahoma for failing the eye test. I mean, they didn't play last week. They want to bye. I don't think they're a top 5 team. I didn't move them from last week at all. They're still number 8. Number 7, Texas A&M. Very impressive that win. Very impressive. With that win there against Auburn, 20-3. Big game against Ole Miss this week. If they can find a way to win that game, they might be. I mean, they will have a shot against to at least get into the SEC championship game if Alabama loses to Auburn. So we'll see what happens. But A&M, they need a little bit of help from Auburn, but they to me they are a top 10 team. They're number 7, number 6 Michigan. You might be like, well, Michigan State has tiebreaker to Michigan. I think Michigan is the better team. Say what you want. They have a big game on the road against Penn State. They look very good against Indiana. I know it was kind of a boring game, but Michigan number 6. We'll see what they do on the road against Penn State. Number 5, Cincinnati. Cincinnati's just failing the eye test. They need to be blowing out these opponents as style. They need a little bit of help in the real pool because they were number 6. I expect them to be moved up to number 5 because I do think with the Michigan State loss, you can't really argue that Michigan State still better than Cincinnati, especially to a loss to our Purdue team. Grant, Purdue's number 22 in the pool, in the Big D Sports 4 pool, but you can't justify keeping Michigan State ahead of Cincinnati, in my opinion. But anyway, Cincinnati number 5. They need a little bit of help, in my opinion. If you really want my honest opinion, Bama. I'll come out and say it right now. I think Alabama's losing to Auburn in the Iron Bowl. I'll just come out and say it right now. Ohio State, we'll see. They certainly do not pass the eye test for me. Ohio State against opponents that have some talent, with the exception of Maryland. Don't remind me of that. Oregon, very possible they could lose another game. Georgia, I'm not even going to talk about them, but and I kind of just went through my top 4 basically. But Cincinnati, number 5, best group of 5 team. They have a shot at the playoffs. Number 4, Alabama. They just don't pass the eye test. I'm moving down to 2-4. They have that loss to Texas A&M. They're lucky LSU can make plays offensively because they would have Bama would have been moved down a lot more than 2-4. I'm just not sold on this Alabama team. I thought Tennessee hung around that game too much. The Ole Miss game was impressive. Florida coming back in that game. If that game lasted 5 more minutes longer, Florida was winning that game. Florida just ran out of time, in my opinion. But Florida, the way that's looking right now, and I know the Florida players. I know that was don't get me started with the whole Florida situation. I know that it's they gave up on the season, but still, that's not. It's resume is a big thing to me. Bama resume took a bit of a hit, in my opinion. They didn't look that good. Now number 4, number 3, Ohio State, number 2, Oregon. Oregon's only number 2 because of that win over Ohio State, and that's really the only reason why. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Ohio State doesn't pass the eye test to me, with the exception against Maryland. I know they beat Indiana. Indiana's a JV team. They're really banged up. Rutgers is Rutgers. I know Rutgers fans aren't gonna like me saying that, but they're still far away, Rutgers. And then you look at Nebraska. By the way, speaking about Nebraska, Scott Frost is back for next season. Very interesting move there. I don't know what to think of it. Because I do think there is an argument there for Scott Frost because they're in a bunch of these games against a bunch of these good teams with a tough schedule. But at the same time, I mean, you gotta find a way to at least win one or two of them, you would think. But you look at that's just sidetracking there. You look at Ohio State. Just I mean, they play Purdue this week. Will not shock me if Purdue's in that game for a while. So number 3 Ohio State, number 2 Oregon. As I said, the only reason they have that spot because of the head-to-head win. That Stanford loss is not looking that good right now. If you're Oregon, it really isn't. They beat Washington. I know it's a rivalry game on the road, but they beat them. I think you gotta give them some credit for that. And by the way, Junior Lake getting suspended is laughable. It's laughable, in my opinion. So it's just laughable. Uh, so number 2 Oregon, and then number 1 Georgia. How can you not pick Georgia number 1? I mean, I think if you want my honest opinion, I think just end the season, pencil Georgia in as the champions. If you want my honest opinion, now the teams I left out. These teams were in the pool last week, but they got kicked out for one reason or the other. 21 SMU, lost to Memphis. You're number 21. You got kicked out. Number 22 Fresno State. Why is Fresno State out of the poll? Who did they lose? Is that? Oh yeah, they lost to Boise State. Did Kentucky have the ball for 46 minutes of that game and still lost? Yikes! Number 24 Kentucky, goodbye. And then 25 Louisiana. I know Louisiana won, and I know. Here's the thing with Louisiana though. To me, Louisiana, Coastal Carolina is a pick'em to me. Who's the better team? I know each team has a loss. In my opinion, I do think that. I do. I mean, both losses are basically equal in my opinion because Louisiana lost by 20 to Texas. Uh, Coastal Carolina they lost to Appalachian State. I think by field goal. So to me, both losses are like equal. Whoever you want to put at number 26, it's one of those two teams, Louisiana, Coastal Carolina. I really don't care. I can't make up my mind. Louisiana win was not impressive to me against Georgia State. If you want my honest opinion, either. And I just think NC State's a better team than Louisiana. I just do. So those are the rankings. Any comments before I get out of here? Nope. Okay, so those are the top 25 rankings. Comment down below. Tell me what you think. We'll see. What my connection's unstable. If you're not hearing me, I'm sorry. But top 25 rankings. Here you go. Comment down below. Tell me what you think. Thanks for watching. D the Beast signing off.